Welcome to today's session of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim. Yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. We are on chapter 2, Contents of the Gita summarized. We will be covering verses 1 to 10 today. Sanjay uvacha tam tatha kripaya vishtam ashru purna kulekshanam vishidantam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudanaha. Sanjay said, seeing Arjun full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudan, Krishna spoke the following words. Verse 2, Shri Bhagavan uvacha kutastva kshamalam idam vishame samupasthitam anarya jushtam asvargayam akirti karam Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjun, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. Verse 3, Klaipyam ma sma gamah partha naita tvai upadyate Kshudram hridaya dorbalyam tyaktvo tishtha parantapa. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and rise, O chastiser of the enemy. Verse 4, Katham bhishmaham sankhye dronam cha madhusudana Ishubhi pratiyotsami pujarha varisudana. Arjun said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship? Verse 5, Gurun ahatva hi mahanubhavan shreyo bhuktam bhakshyam apihaloke hatvartha kamamas tu gurun ihaiva bhunja bhogan ridhira pradigdhan. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Verse 6, Nachaitad vidmaha kataran no gariyo yadva jayema vadi vano jayeyu yan eva hatvana jiji vishamas te avishtitah pramukhe dhartarashtraha. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Verse 7, Karparne dosho pahata swabhava prichami tvam dharma sammudha cheta yachreyasyan nishchitam bruhi tanme Shishyaste aham shadhi mam tvam prapannam. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Verse 8, Nahi prapashyami mama panudyad yat chokham uchchosanam indriyanam avapya bhumav asat asapatnam ridham rajyam suranam api chadhipatyam. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth, with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. Verse 9. Eva muktva rishikesham gudakeshah parantapah na yotsya iti govind muktva tushranim babhuvaha. Sanjay said, having spoken thus, Arjun, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Verse 10. Tamuvacha Rishikesha prasanniv bharata sainyor ubhayor madhye vishidantam idam vachah. O descendant of Bharata, at the time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjun. So, chapter 2 is titled Contents of the Gita Summarized. In chapter 2, Arjun further says about his doubts, and in due course he surrenders to Krishna. In this chapter, Krishna starts to speak from second verse. Second chapter is the gist of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Now, Krishna is approached by Arjun in a very humble state of mind, with a lot of humility. He asks Krishna about his doubts, about his dilemmas, and he is in a very hopeless and helpless situation. He is asking Krishna to reveal the core of the spiritual knowledge. Then Krishna unfolds this spiritual knowledge to Arjun, and further he tells Arjun how to use it in a practical way in his life. And this was also, in a way, told for all the living beings by Krishna how to live life on this earth. Krishna tells all about the spiritual wisdom, and seeing Arjun's lamentation and depressed state of mind, with tears in Arjun's eyes. Tears are a sign of an unrealized person, so which proves that most of us are unrealized in this earth, on this earth, because from time to time we shed tears, and tears are of hopelessness, of the ignorance, because all our lamentation is connected to our body. Our soul is eternal, it's always happy, is full of bliss. But when we relate the things onto the body level, we find ourselves unhappy and in a state of lamentation. Now Krishna speaks to Arjun, and he removes all the misunderstandings of Arjun in fulfilling his duties, his prescribed duties, his varnashram, and he takes away some doubts of Arjun at this stage, which are due to the lamentation for the body more than the eternal soul. Then in verse 2.7, Arjun surrenders himself to Krishna. Shishyaste shadhi mam tvam prapannam. He says to Krishna that I am your disciple, Krishna. please instruct me, please guide me, and he surrenders to Krishna completely. Now we have to approach a bona fide spiritual master, a guru, which is genuine and is coming from a spiritual line of self-realized masters, or a authentic parampara or disciplic succession. Then only the miserable conditions of our life can be changed after hearing the instructions and guidance from such spiritual masters. Because the original guru is Krishna himself. The gurus, they will be bringing down the teachings of Krishna for us, which are bona fide or genuine. Like in life, we need a teacher for every kind of learning in life, whether it's in academics or learning some skills, whether it's sports or any other faculty of life. We need a suitably qualified teacher. Without a suitably qualified teacher, we cannot learn anything. But people fail to understand that for awakening of the spirituality also, a guru is needed. People think that this light is inside us and it will just awaken by itself. It does not happen like that. We cannot get in touch with our own self without the help of a guru in a proper disciplic succession. Now Krishna gives the most important reason to Arjuna, that the soul is eternal. The soul never perishes. The soul lives on forever. So that Arjuna doesn't have any reason to not to fight in the war. Because Arjuna is worried about the killing of his relatives, and he knows everything. He is Krishna's friend. His level of understanding is almost equal to Krishna, but this has been arranged for the mere mortals like us on this earth. This Kurukshetra war has been arranged, and Arjuna is lamenting, and Krishna is going to answer the questions. These are actually the answers for all of us. Now Krishna explains that the soul never dies, it is imperishable. And Krishna doesn't agree with Arjuna's arguments, whatever arguments Arjuna is putting about not starting the war, not taking part in the war. Krishna gently reminds Arjuna of his duty to fight. He asks him to overcome the weakness of his heart. Arjuna's dilemma of not killing his relatives and how to obey Krishna to fight. Then Arjuna, in such a confused state, asks for Krishna's guidance and becomes a disciple of Krishna, and accepts Krishna as his spiritual master. Krishna explains about the soul to Arjuna, that it is eternal, it is imperishable, it is always happy. So a person is always an individual, even after leaving the body, which is just a piece of matter. It is left behind, but the soul moves on. The soul or the self has still got a life. It carries on. Only the body perishes, and nobody should lament about it. So Krishna explains to Arjuna about the soul and the body. Now Arjuna wants to enjoy with his relatives at the cost of his duty, which Krishna advises him against. And Krishna asks him to fulfill his duty in this life and use his wisdom. If he doesn't do that, then what's going to happen is Arjun will be bound to the lesson for Arjun, lesson for all of us in these verses 1 to 10, that we have to do our prescribed duty and not shirk away from it, because if we move away from it, we will be bound again and again to the cycle of birth and death. So from verse 11, we will continue tomorrow, when Krishna will again continue to explain to Arjun about his duties, the body and the soul. So I will take leave of you. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna.